Good morning, everybody. This is Gleason with Startuptrading.com. It's a little past 9 o'clock in New York, June 5th, 2020, Friday. Economic news, huge news. On the unemployment rate for the Canadian markets came in at 13.7%, which was a beat, as well as the employment change. And then for the U.S. markets, the average hourly earnings were down 1%, but the non-farm employment change, pretty amazing how big of a beat this was. They were expected to come in at negative 7,750,000. That was what was expected, and we came in at positive 2.5 million. So that's obviously where the market's seen that reaction. Those numbers were as far off as you will ever see them the rest of your life. In the unemployment rate, the expected was 19%, and we're at 13.3. What matters is not that, obviously a 13% unemployment is historical, but it's what the market was expecting versus what has happened is what is so crucial. Now, in the weekend or on the weekend, we're going to have OPEC meetings. So oil might be a volatile product here today, and then the Chinese markets are going to have trade balance on Saturday. Let me quickly take a peek at next week, and we can kind of just do next week. Yeah, biggest news event next week is going to be Wednesday with the FOMC press conference, the FOMC statement of the federal funds rate. Now, if you remember right about where we were trading, at least at this price, going back, they did the first emergency rate cut, which was a minus of 50 basis points, and then they cut another 1%, all the way down to 0.25%. So they did two emergency rate cuts, when everything was happening. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually decide that they might need to reverse those cuts. I don't think the market is not by any means expecting that to happen. So let's take a look here and just talk about our upside profit targets. We just continue to rip higher almost every single day. It's fascinating, and we just have to trade the trend, and it's clearly bullish. We are still pretty far away from our all-time highs. Let's just pretend like nothing ever happened, because I think that's easier to trade when you ignore the media. It's just the market is the biggest proof that it really doesn't matter. Now, yesterday we had this extension drawn in the morning, and it was Wednesday's high, the 27th of May, too high. Now, that was the high before the breakout. We had two support levels. Now, we had a 38% retracement, which was front run at 8:30, an hour before the bell. We rallied off the open, and then we spent our day inside 50% retracement shorts that completed into the close, and then we actually retested. That 38% retracement was a 30.94. It was a 30.94. We dipped into like 87s right before the close, and then just popped right back up. There's just no continuation whatsoever with selling. We have just gone completely straight up from that point. Now, I can go down to a smaller time frame, and we can analyze. Once we came down into that low towards the end of the day, okay, we made that low at about 3:15. We had a 50% retracement, complete targets. There was the next traditional that completed targets, and then this is actually what blew out into an extension. That extension completed targets, and we're all the way up at those highs. So those were the moves out of lows that you could have participated on. However, what are we looking for today? We're going to be in another extension to extension, and that is going to be drawn from now this Wednesday's high to high. This is going to be our first extension, and that 38% retracement is a 31.5675 with the 50% retracement at a 31.5175. Very powerful move up here. We're completing some higher time frame targets, and we are bullish above 31.46 half. Bullish above 31.46 half, and then even still, if we did break below 31.46 half, there is other anchors below. Right now, the continuation hourly sequence is drawn from Wednesday's high to high, and we are at highs as I'm speaking. So this draw would need to be adjusted to every new high as we make them, and we just made another new high. So every time we make a new high, you just take the high of Wednesday and draw it to that new high. Straight up. Moving on to the Dow, which yesterday, it was, I think, the cleanest of our indexes. We had the Thursday, May 28th extension. It was the high of May 28th to high. Now we traded it once before the market opened. We traded it twice. And then we had a final test, third test, into the close. The Dow is now up 743 points. Amazing. 743 points. The high from the overnight session is the new extension. And you can argue that we've actually already, we've traded that before the market opened. We traded that before the jobs number this morning, and we have just gone straight up from that extension to new high. You can even make the argument for extension to extension here. You can make the argument for extension to extension. That is how bullish we are. We have gone through the negative 100 of the extension to extension. That's basically double the size of the original move. It's a negative 100. So the 26,646 to high, that is going to be our first pullback during the day. And our 38% retracement is 26,873, and our 50 is 26,830. We are bullish above 26,786. Just continuing to go straight up here. Moving on to the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq didn't get the pullback that I was anticipating. I was at least thinking that we would get Friday's low to high. Now, in hindsight, when you break above an opposing 61, that technically validates a new support level, and you can look for retest. Now, these are the previous highs here, this 96.04. The lows of Sunday night, Monday to high is the draw I'm going to use. And that's not something I would see in advance, but when we trade that level, break above the 61 and then retest, this is the draw I use to initiate an upside profit target, which I have two. One is at 97.82, the other is 98.11. Also, a reminder, the previous all-time high is this 97.63. 97.63 is a previous all-time high. And the previous highest close that the Nasdaq has, the futures market, is a 97.44. Going into the day, I will look at the, and it's technically broken, but if we can pull back into the 96.38, that is the full 50% retracement from Thursday's low to the overnight high, 96.38. We have an hourly ATR of 30 points. That is the stop size I would use for this type of a draw. It's fairly large, but a 30-point stop would bring us all the way down to a 96.08 and a first target of 96.68, which would be a move basically to here. So 96.38 would be the first level of interest for me for the Nasdaq. Moving on to oil. Oil, OPEC meetings, remember, all weekend. We had this support level yesterday at the 36.42. Sideways, 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 ripper. Straight up to profit targets. I am looking, going into the close yesterday, we just finally got that leg start higher. We moved out of the range. What we did is we held a 50% retracement from the low, the beginning of the move to high. I'm looking at this extension, the 37.62 to high. 38.60 is the support level I'm watching. 38.60. Now, we are trading that 38% retracement. It's actually just had a 12 pip reaction. But 38.60 is the support level I will watch. If we do not hold this straight up continuation and stay above 38.36, we will come back down into the higher time frame extension, which would be just taking that anchor or that pivot from Wednesday and drawing it to the new high. Moving on to the USDJPY yesterday, this was straight out of the laser setups in the morning trade plan. Our completion happened at 109.41. Now, we never got the same anchor new high. We have instead blown through targets. We have a brand new extension. We have a brand new extension from the 109.15 to high. That gives us a support level at our previous highs, the 109.41s. For the Aussie dollar, we are just kind of a little bit of no man's land. We have traded the support level on Wednesday, and then we broke out. There was this very sloppy 50% retracement that completed targets. Then we had the lows of Thursday to high, complete targets, and then we had that swing low to high, and we're just in the middle of coming off that 50, which is still pretty sloppy, and having a higher time frame upside target of 70.30. So our current support, and if any at any point in time, if we do trade the full 50% retracement long from Wednesday's low to high, that would be great. That would be a great level. That's right down here at like 69.34s. Okay, but right now we are just holding the more aggressive traditional sequence. We have come off the 69.70s. We're trading 22 pips higher. Our upside target is the 70.32. Moving on to the euro, we are in a same anchor new high. We have come off the 38% retracement here, which lines up with a previous 4-hour leg start. It is a 112.91. 112.91. We're off that level by 23 pips right now. The extension is drawn from what is last Friday's high. And this is already traded to target once, traded to target twice. This is the third time. The 50% is untested below and would be a support level if we did. It is a 112.63. The Great Britain pound traded its extension on Thursday, the 125.18. We are going straight up to profit targets. We are going through those targets. We are going to begin a new extension. That is going to be Wednesday's high to high. And I think there's a good chance that this comes in today. This setup, I would be looking at the 38% retracement of this setup because it's going to line up with where the previous highs broke out of. It's going to line up with those previous highs. All right. Moving on to the USDCAD. The USDCAD has completed our downside target from Wednesday's extension. And the only thing at this point in time I would look for is just this same anchor new low. It's probably not going to come into play here today. Okay, and that is just that Monday swing low. The anchor is a 136.71 too low, and the 38% retracement would line up with this resistance level would be a 134.98. The Aussie or the USD CAD did have a news event today. Had that unemployment rate like the United States. There is a 50% retracement short for the day holding right here, but I'm looking for just this higher time frame draw. Bring this alert down to the 134.97 area. And then moving on to gold and silver, which are getting hit pretty aggressively. The full 50% retracement. Yesterday, there was a great long setup in the morning in gold. A great long setup. And we came up into the end of the day. We rallied, 20 points off that support level. But today, we basically failed to hold that continuation in the overnight session and began selling off. We are all the way back down at the bottom range. Now, this halfway back in gold, which is what held and validated in the overnight session, has a downside target of 1673. Right now, we are just bearish in gold below 1711s. Everything below 1711s is bearish in gold. We do have another daily test of this 1682. This has been daily support. Okay, but we have a target now below this, and we have broken down out of this wedge. So if this 1682 does not hold, I think next week we'll see a halfway back for the year, and that would be a 1620. So that's a 60-point drop. If we do not hold 1682, there is a possible 60-point drop below. So it'll be interesting to see where gold ends up here by the end of the day. By the end of the day, we are right on the 50% retracement long from the lows of April to high, and we have been going sideways for over 2 months. Okay, we've been going sideways for over 2 months, and a break below this low is going to lead to some significant selling. So it's bulls to hold here, otherwise the bulls are in trouble. And then moving on to silver, we have just completed. There was an extension short yesterday. The 38% retracement is 1806. We have just completed that profit target. We are inside of a daily extension, but there is a hourly short sequence that would need to break to confirm this daily extension. We were front run on Wednesday, and then after we were front run, we traded the short before we traded the long. Because we traded the short before we traded the long, that pushes us and gives us downside targets, and that's how we go through those levels. Now, we are going to have a same anchor new low here. We will have a same anchor new low, and when we do, if we break back above 1820s, that revalidates this 50% retracement long. Okay, that revalidates it. But right now we are bearish in silver below 1820, and I'm just looking at this higher time frame, same anchor new low. The resistance levels are pretty far above us. There could be another sequence in here, but I'm paying attention to the high time frame only. Okay, that is gonna wrap it up for me here this morning. I'm gonna be in the room sharing my screen live, answering questions, talking about trades for the first part of the day. I am not gonna be trading the second part of the day. Everybody trade safe. Enjoy your weekends. I'll catch you guys on Monday, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Take care. That is going to wrap it up for me here this morning. I'm going to be in the room sharing my screen live, answering questions, talking about trades. For the first part of the day, I am not going to be trading the second part of the day. Everybody trade safe. Enjoy your weekends. I'll catch you guys on Monday, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel.